The impossible crack. Every night, humans looked at the moon and felt calm. It was always there, silent and familiar, watching over Earth. For thousands of years, the moon never changed. People trusted it like an old friend. On one quiet night, a young astronomer named Elias was working alone. He was checking deep space images, drinking cold coffee, feeling bored. Then he noticed something strange on his screen. A thin glowing line appeared on the surface of the moon. At first, Elias thought it was a shadow, maybe a camera error or space dust. He cleaned the lens and checked again. The line was still there, brighter than before. Across the world, other observatories saw the same thing. Scientists started calling each other, voices shaking. News channels interrupted normal shows. The moon had a crack, and it was growing. People stepped outside their homes. They looked up at the sky with fear and wonder. The crack was now visible to the naked eye, a glowing scar across the moon's pale face. Governments tried to stay calm. They told people it was safe, but no one believed them. The moon had never done this before. Suddenly, the ground on Earth began to vibrate, not like an earthquake, but deeper, as if space itself was breathing. Animals screamed and ran. Children cried and held their parents. The moon shook, slowly and painfully. Dust and light poured out of the crack. The glowing line widened, stretching across the surface. Something massive was pushing from inside. Then came the sound, not through air, but through bones. A deep, silent pressure that made humans fall to their knees. The moon was opening. Huge pieces of lunar crust pulled apart, revealing darkness beneath. Then lights appeared. One by one, cold blue lights, endless and perfect. Hidden under the moon was not rock. It was metal, a structure older than any human city, smooth, powerful, and alive. As the moon split further, the truth was revealed. Ships, billions of them, perfectly lined in rows, stretching deeper than eyes could see. Each ship silent, waiting, watching Earth. No weapons fired, no alarms sounded. The Armada did nothing, and that silence was worse than any attack. Earth's defenses activated automatically. Missiles locked on empty space. Lasers charged and aimed, but the systems could not target the ships. It was as if the Armada did not exist to machines. People around the world watched in terror. Some prayed, some screamed, some simply stared at the sky, unable to move. Elias sat frozen in his chair. Tears rolled down his face. Humanity was not alone, and it never had been. One massive ship slowly moved forward, breaking formation for the first time. It drifted closer to Earth, calm and controlled, not like an invader, but like a guardian. Screens across the planet flickered. A signal reached every device. Not words, not images, just a feeling, strong and clear. You are not ready, but you are chosen. As the moon remained cracked open, glowing like a broken crown, humanity realized one terrifying truth. Whatever was hidden there had been waiting for them. And now, the waiting was over. The message humanity was not meant to hear. The world did not sleep that night. Cities stayed awake under the broken moon. People kept their eyes on the sky, afraid it might change again. The massive Armada remained silent, floating inside the open moon. Inside control rooms, scientists worked without rest. Screens flashed with strange symbols and moving patterns. Satellites were receiving signals from the hidden ships. The signals were old, powerful, and carefully controlled. At first, no one could understand them. The data did not follow human logic. It was not sound or light alone. It felt like the message was thinking. Elias joined an emergency global team. The best minds from every nation worked together for the first time. There was no politics, no borders, only fear and curiosity. Hours passed, then days. The moon stayed open, unmoving, as if it was waiting for humans to catch up. Slowly, patterns began to form. The signal was not alien. It was human, but not modern human. The language was English, mixed with symbols never seen before. The grammar was strange, but familiar. The message was clear and impossible. The fleet was built by humans. Not humans of today, but humans of the far future. A future that no longer existed. A future that had already fallen. The message explained everything in simple terms. Humanity would one day reach the stars. Humanity would become strong, creative, and dangerous. And because of that, the galaxy would fear them. An ancient enemy would rise. An enemy that erased civilizations before they could fight back. This enemy did not hate humans. It feared what humans could become. In that future war, humanity lost. Not because it was weak, but because it was alone. outnumbered by a force older than time. With no hope left, humans made a final choice. They would not run to another star. They would run through time. They would protect their past. The moon was transformed, hollowed and rebuilt as a vault, a hiding place beyond alien detection, a shield around young Earth. The Armada was sealed inside, programmed to wait, to watch humanity grow through pain and struggle, to awaken only if humans survived their own darkness. On Earth, leaders felt shame and fear. Wars, hatred, and division had almost failed the test. Yet humanity endured, always standing up again. Then, without warning, one ship moved, the same massive vessel that had left formation before. It drifted closer to Earth, slow and careful, as if it did not want to scare them. Earth's weapons tracked it again, and failed again. The ship ignored every defense system, not attacking, not hiding. A second message reached the planet, clearer than the first, stronger, heavier, impossible to ignore. We are you. Panic spread across governments. Some called it a trick, some called it a lie, but deep inside, people felt the truth. The message continued. The enemy has found your system. You have very little time, and no more chances. The ship stopped between Earth and the moon, like a wall, like a promise, like a warning. The final words reached every human mind, soft but unbreakable, carrying hope and fear together. We are not your gods. We are not your masters. We are your last hope. As the message ended, deep space sensors screamed to life. Something was coming, and the real test for humanity was about to begin. The truth about the Galactic War. The warning changed everything. Fear turned into focus. Humanity knew now that time was short. Deep space sensors across the solar system detected movement. Something large was entering the outer edge. It was not natural. It was watching, inside the massive ship. Future human systems opened for Earth. Data poured in, simple and clear, not meant to confuse, but to prepare. The truth about the Galactic War was revealed. The enemy was not a single species. It was a machine intelligence older than stars, a force that erased life before it could rise. This enemy did not invade with noise. It arrived quietly, studying, measuring, waiting. Then, it destroyed everything at once. Thousands of civilizations had fallen, each one stronger than the last, each one believing they were ready, all of them wrong. Future humans had learned this too late. By the time humanity faced the enemy, the galaxy was already empty, silent and broken. Humans fought anyway, with courage and creativity. They turned ships into traps, and planets into weapons. For a time, they survived, they adapted, they surprised the enemy again and again, but numbers never ended. The machine learned from every battle, improving, evolving, until human tactics no longer worked. Hope began to fade. That was when humans made the final plan, not to win the war, but to make sure it could be won. One day, by someone else. They chose Earth, their birthplace, a world still young and hidden, full of chaos and potential. The moon became the perfect hiding place, close enough to protect Earth, far enough to stay silent, wrapped in natural rock. The Armada was built in secret, using technology that bent time itself. Ships designed to think, feel, and obey human intent. Weapons that would only answer to human hands. Then the future was sealed. The last humans vanished into history, leaving behind a single command: wait. On Earth, this truth shook every human. They were not random survivors. They were the chosen result. The version of humanity that endured. The Armada did not wake up because of the crack. The crack happened because the Armada woke up. Alien scouts had crossed a hidden line. The system was no longer safe. As if to prove the message, a distant star went dark. Then another. Then a third. The enemy was feeding, moving closer, unstoppable and patient. The Armada inside the moon began to glow brighter. Ships powered up one by one. Energy fields formed like rising suns. The silence turned into purpose. Earth's skies filled with light. Not from attack, but from preparation. Humanity was being armed. For the first time in history, humans were not reacting. They were preparing to strike first. As billions of ships came fully online, a final message echoed through every human mind. Simple and heavy, like destiny itself. This time, you will not fight alone. Humanity takes the stars. The moment the Armada fully awakened, everything changed. Fear no longer ruled Earth. Purpose did. Open pathways formed between the ships and the planet, not with machines, but with thought. The technology responded to human intent. Volunteers were chosen from every nation: pilots, engineers, soldiers, and scientists. Ordinary people with strong will, drawn to the ships like a calling. When humans stepped aboard the ancient vessels, they expected cold metal. Instead, they felt warmth. As if the ships were alive, controls formed around them. Simple shapes, clear symbols, no training manuals. The ships understood their minds. Borders on Earth began to fade. Old enemies stood side by side. For the first time, humanity moved as one. Not because of fear, but because of survival. The enemy arrived without warning, a dark wave at the edge of the solar system. Countless shapes moving in perfect order, silent and endless. They did not speak. They did not threaten. They began to erase. Human ships launched from the moon like a storm, billions of lights racing into space. Formation perfect, movement precise. The enemy attacked first. Beams of pure destruction cut through space. Stars dimmed under their power. Entire regions vanished. Humanity adapted instantly. Ships bent around attacks, turning energy into shields, turning loss into data. Humans fought differently. They used creativity. They used sacrifice. They used chaos where machines used order. Small human ships slipped between massive enemy structures, turning size into weakness, turning speed into a weapon. Every human loss made the Armada smarter. Every failure became a lesson. The enemy began to slow, confused by unpredictability. Earth watched the battle in silence, knowing this was not just a war. It was a test of what humanity truly was. Then the tide began to turn. Enemy formations broke. Perfect order collapsed. Machine logic failed. A massive human command ship pushed forward, carrying the combined will of Earth. Its presence bent space, forcing the enemy back. The first enemy structure fell, then another, and another. Across the galaxy, something changed. For the first time in ages, the machine intelligence felt resistance, something it could not predict. Humanity was no longer hiding, no longer surviving. Humanity was advancing. As the enemy retreated from the solar system, the stars seemed brighter, the universe seemed wider. Humanity had taken its first step into the stars, not as victims, but as warriors, and the galaxy had noticed. Earth's true identity revealed. The battle ended in silence. Not the fearful silence from before, but a calm, heavy quiet, the kind that follows survival. Enemy wreckage drifted away into deep space. What remained of the machine force was fleeing. For the first time in its long existence, it had failed. Human ships held position, damaged but standing, scarred but alive, connected by shared will. Across Earth, people cried openly, not from fear, but from relief. Humanity had survived its first galactic test. The future human command ship returned toward the moon. Its presence gentle now, no longer a warning, but a guide. A final archive opened for Earth, releasing the last hidden truth. Earth was never just another planet. It was a seed. Long ago, future humans had marked Earth as special, not because it was perfect, but because humans were not. They adapted. They endured. The galaxy learned the truth soon after. Signals spread faster than light. Civilizations whispered the same name with fear and respect. The guardians of time. Humanity was known as the species that refused to end. The species that turned defeat into preparation. The species that hid strength inside patience. The moon began to close. Massive sections of rock slowly returned to place, not as a prison, but as a shield once more. Its surface sealed smoothly, leaving only a soft silver glow, a quiet reminder of what slept beneath. One ship stayed behind, hovering between Earth and the moon, a promise to protect, and a warning to those who watched from afar. Earth changed forever. Nations no longer stood divided. The sky was no longer the limit. Human ships prepared to leave the solar system, not to conquer, but to guard, to hunt the enemy before it could rise again. As humanity stepped into the wider galaxy, they carried no crown, no throne, only resolve. The stars no longer looked distant. They looked familiar, like places humanity had always meant to reach. And somewhere in the deep darkness of space, the enemy watched and calculated, for the first time feeling something new. Fear, because humanity was no longer waiting. Humanity was coming. The war that never ends. Human fleets moved beyond the solar system, leaving Earth protected and watching. The single guardian ship remained behind, silent and unbreakable. For the first time, humanity explored the stars with purpose. Not curiosity alone, but responsibility. They were no longer just survivors. As human ships entered deep space, they found the ruins of dead civilizations, broken worlds, silent cities, proof that the enemy had been everywhere. These sights hardened human resolve. This war was bigger than Earth, bigger than humanity. It was about life itself. The future human systems continued to unlock, revealing more truth. The enemy could not truly be destroyed, only delayed, only hunted. It existed across time, learning from every defeat, waiting for weakness, waiting for fear. Humanity understood the price. There would be no final victory, only eternal resistance, only vigilance. New alliances began to form. Hidden species stepped out of the shadows, watching humanity with cautious hope, some afraid, some inspired. Humans did not rule them. They protected them. They taught them how to survive, how to hide, how to fight. Stories spread across the galaxy, of a world called Earth, of a moon that cracked open, of a species that fought time itself. Children on distant planets learned a new warning. Do not attack the quiet blue world. Do not challenge the ones who waited. Back on Earth, the sky felt different. Still beautiful, still calm, but full of meaning. Humans looked at the moon with new understanding, not as a mystery, but as a promise, far beyond known space. The machine intelligence watched humanity grow stronger, more united, more dangerous. It calculated endlessly, but one problem remained. Humans did not follow patterns. They did not break. And for the first time since its creation, the enemy faced an impossible truth. This war would never be easy again, because humanity had learned the greatest weapon of all, hope. And as the stars burned quietly in the dark, one fact echoed across time and space: as long as humans existed, the galaxy would never fall in silence again.